very good evening to you, our viewers. This is the Camnet News. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. The top stories on our desk this evening. Green Party questions a government's ability to run the mining sector as authorities claim victory over the Black Mountain. Save the Children recommends that government enacts the Child Code Bill. Bank of Zambia consecutively maintain monetary policy rate at 9%. In international news, the Zimbabwean government suspends majority of its teachers for 3 months. And in sports, SHEPOLOPOLO fails to beat Namibia in AWCON qualifier.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Thank you for choosing us. The news in detail. Government has threatened to halt operations at the Black Mountain in Kitwe if political cadres infiltrate the site. Mines Minister Paul Kabuse has also warned that no party regalia will be entertained at the dump site, stating that President Hakainde Hichilema has handed over the site to all Zambians, not a few political parties. And Zambia National Youth Think Tank Executive Director Tabolo Momba has advised government to quickly introduce the mine reforms such as already drafted local content supplies bill, which will support local supplies and mining licenses. Details in this report.
Several youths from the Copperbelt Wednesday came to Lusaka to present a solidarity message to the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema through the Minister of Mines and Mineral Development Paul Kabuse on the release of the Black Mountain. The solidarity follows the announcement made by the government 2 days ago that it was officially handing over part of the Black Mountain slag dump to cooperatives owned by Zambian youths and women who have been granted licenses to operate. While the Black Mountain has in the past regime been politicized, the Mines Minister has warned that government will not hesitate to shut down operations at the site if cadreism is to infiltrate the premises.
If we hear politics at the Black Mountain, we'll close it. We don't want, we have made it very clear even to the youth leadership, to the cooperatives that are there, confusion is not what we want. We want order. We want proper mining activities. There will be no politics. There will be, you will never find the, I have seen some, in the past, people could go with vehicles, ECO, whatever, call the number plate. Those vehicles, you never see them at the Black Mountain. There will be no party regalia at the Black Mountain.
The minister has since advised the beneficiaries to ensure that the resources made from the transactions are put to good use.
It's not money you just get and mess up. Use this money wisely, invest wisely, those of you that are involved, so that we can see, like my colleague has said, we can see a growth in the sector. We can see that you graduate, you own now mines, you begin to own mines apart from owning the dump sites. That's what we want to do.
And the minister has assured of no government interference on who the youths will transact with, regardless of their nationality. And Zambia National Youth Think Tank and representative from the United Party for National Development on the Copper Belt are elated by the development.
I'd like to request that you quickly introduce mine reforms, such as the already drafted local content supply bill, which will support local suppliers and contractors, as well as reforms that will regulate issuance of exploration and mining licenses. As you are aware, Honorable Minister, the current situation has disadvantaged a lot of Zambians as the space has already been taken by foreigners who are having more than 10 licenses each.
When we were growing, we thought the Black Mountain belonged to 3, 4, 5 people. But now, we have realized that you've given licenses to the Copperbelt youths, you've given licenses to women in mining, and you've given licenses to the communities that are going to be operating and benefiting from the Black Mountain.
While accidents have in the past been recorded at the Black Mountain, the minister has assured that safety measures have been put in place to minimize accidents, but if such occurs, it is of God's will. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In a related development, the Green Party of Zambia has charged that the United Party for National Development Administration has no policy in the administration of the mining sector. Party President Peter Sinkamba has condemned the approach taken by the UPND on the Black Mountain, saying there is lack of transparency on how they arrived at the decision to award the mine to the cooperatives. But Mr. Sinkamba believes that the UPND government lacks focus on maximizing profits from the mining sector. He made those remarks when he appeared on a program dubbed Frank on Camnet.
What we know is that the 10% was exhausted.
Yeah.
So how much is now available to the citizens, the youths we are calling? How much is available and how has it been acquired? Has it been coerced from the Chinese, grabbed by force, or what? And of that Black Mountain now, what is the percentage that is due to the youth? Because already that to cause wars at some point.
Yeah.
Because right now the way it has been made, the blanket statement, no policy direction, the youth would think the whole thing now belongs to them. If that has happened, we must know what has been the compensation arrangement for the Chinese. Because I think they spent about $30 million to get it from Chambishi Metals. And 10% shareholding for ZCM, we were told it's been given to the youths. So what percentage now is available? And what will be the scheme of things?
And who are these youths?
Who are the youths?
The criteria?
Yes, because it just said, no, we have cooperatives. Cooperatives, which ones? When were they, at least during PF time, what they did was they said, submit your names to the DC. And the DC was involved in the selection of which cooperatives were going to run or participate, or through which people could use as vehicles to participate in the mining. But this particular one is a surprise statement. We don't know what criteria was used to choose which youths are going to run that whole thing, how they are going to benefit, how the country is going to benefit at the end of the day, and there's nothing literally.
Save the Children has recommended that government implements the Child Code Bill in order to comprehensively tackle issues affecting children in the country. Speaking when she appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters, Save the Children Country Director Joe Musonda says children believe the Child Code Bill is a milestone in safeguarding the plight of children. She has also underscored the need to ensure that children grow up with family support to ensure a good upbringing. She says parents and guardians need to also be helped to understand the best practices of raising children.
This is the Parliamentary Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters, receiving submissions from various stakeholders. In Zambia, children experience violence in a wide variety of settings, ranging from home and school to institutions. Being exposed to different types of violence, be it physical, emotional or sexual, or neglect, is painful and can be traumatic. Other child protection concerns currently being faced by children in Zambia include risk of forced early marriage, teen pregnancy, homelessness, insufficient birth registration, risk of exploitation or abuse, risk of contracting HIV, and the prospect of losing one or both primary caregivers. Wednesday, 16 February 2022, Save the Children appeared before the Committee on Youth, Sport and Child Matters. Save the Children Country Director Joe Musonda says the Child Code Bill is a milestone in safeguarding the plight of children and must be enacted in the current session of the National Assembly. Often, children are abused in the country, especially in rural settings, and the people responsible to protect them fail to do so because of lack of clear child protection laws.
You can have a bill, but without adequate financing, you're not going to implement the recommendations therein. I mean, at the moment, Zambia is really lagging behind many other countries. It scores very low on child friendliness, which may surprise you, but it's really to do with the inadequacies of the current law, so that it is currently possible for, and I mentioned child marriage is one example, but it is possible now for children to be married at 17, 16, 15, 14, it goes down because the law doesn't protect against that. So that's one really good example, if you like, of how important the Child Code Bill is. And actually, Zambia has signed up to many international protocols to protect children's rights. So when that bill is signed, then really, we will be doing so much more for all the children.
The organization also underscored the need to steer family strengthening to ensure that children are in the custody of their families and have a good upbringing, saying taking children to care facilities must be a last resort.
Children that really grow up in child care facilities really also face a number of challenges in terms of being able to effectively socialize like any other children that can grow up in a family kind of environment where there is that a loving environment that they need to grow up in such places. But also one of the key things that we see, like we pointed out, because of some of the caregivers being unable to provide for children within the home setting, some of them opt to send these children into child care facilities, which again we are saying that this would not be the best mode for children to grow up, because the environment in the family, no matter how you could try to modify the setup within the child care facility, there is that difference, and children would still be missing that kind of environment.
Well, children represent the future, and to guarantee that they grow up into responsible citizens is the duty of all adults. Patrick Soko, Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The Bank of Zambia Monetary Policy Committee has maintained the policy rate at 9% in the first quarter of 2022. Bank of Zambia Governor Deni Kalela says the decision has been necessitated by the SHEP declaration in the inflation and its projected continued downward trend towards the 6 and 8% target. The governor, however, says there is an upward risk to inflation outlook, which will be necessitated by the increase in crude oil prices, initial effect of implementing the transition cost, electricity tariff, possible lower crop production due to inadequate weather conditions, the COVID-19 effects, and the tightening of the monetary policy. We'll get back to that story when the clip is cleared. Moving on in the news, the COMESA Federation of Women in Business says Zambia has a lot of work to do in increasing the full participation of Continental Free Trade Area, which is coming to a conclusion in the next few months. In an exclusive interview with Camnet News, Board Chairperson Maureen Sumwe has noted that Zambia has reluctantly approached the export agenda compared to other countries in the region, thereby making it hard to equally trade internationally. Ms. Sumwe has, however, underscored the need for the country to explore more feasible avenues while awaiting opportunities from both regional and international levels.
We still have a lot to do. We have a lot of work to do to become ready to participate in the Africa Continental Free Trade area that is opening up, to which we've already signed. Our former president signed the thing, and our government is on board with the program. We recently, as Zambia, did participate in the Intra-Africa Trade Fair, which took place in Durban just towards the end of 2021. And I was privileged to visit the trade fair and look at the readiness of some of our sister nations. And it dawned on us who participated there that actually we still need a lot of work to do. We need to probably not fragment our efforts and decide on what are the products that are really going to make a difference for Zambia to be able to participate, and then organize ourselves around those products. Because if we try to go in each individual with their own product, we will find that we do not have the quantities, we do not have the capability to supply the required quantities at the required standards.
President Hakainde Hichilema will tomorrow, February 17th, 2022, and Friday be among several heads of states and government from the European Union and the African Union member states that will deliberate at the summit. The president will later in the day speak in a thematic roundtable session in financing for sustainable and inclusive growth of private sector support and economic integration. On Friday, February 18th, 2022, President Hichilema is scheduled to speak on the issues of agriculture and sustainable development and will also have a meeting with the Prime Minister of Czech Republic on the sidelines of the summit. The president is also expected to have other meetings on the sidelines of the EU-AU summit. The theme of the 60th EU-AU summit is Africa and Europe, two continents with a joint vision for 2030, will provide an opportunity to deepen partnerships and greater cooperation to ensure prosperity for mutual benefits. The president's participation in this year's summit is crucial as it presents an opportunity for him to engage directly with other world leaders and experts and forge strong partnerships for collaboration, particularly in trade and investment for Zambia. Minister of Finance Stumbeko Msokotwani and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Stanley Kakubo and other senior government officials are in the President Hichilema's entourage for the EU-AU summit. Traditionally, the EU-AU summit is held every 4 years, alternating between Africa and Europe, and to provide political guidance and further work. In other news, the Civil Servants and Allied Workers Union of Zambia has advised all civil servants to avoid being victims of political persecution once the change of administration by being non-partisan. In an interview, Union General Secretary Makai has noted with disappointment at how some civil servants aligned themselves to various political parties in 2021. Mr. Makai was speaking to Camnet TV in reference to various dismissals of civil servants after the change of administration, stating that civil servants can protect themselves by ensuring that they uphold ethics.
Our expectations on the conduct of the civil servants and the public service is that they should abide by the terms and the conditions of service. These rules and regulations are always given to employees of the public service upon engagement, and there's always an induction when somebody is employed. These are the rules and the regulations which tells you what to do and what not to do. So what we observed of late is that civil servants had turned themselves into political conduits where they were just following political instructions, even without written information or written instructions, just because maybe a political figure has spoken, then I follow. But for us as a trade union, that is very wrong, because at the end of the day, it will be between you as a civil servant and the terms and conditions of service which you have been given to follow. So if it is found that you have gone against the terms and conditions of service, the employer who is government can take an action against you as a civil servant. It's unfortunate that some people have to lose jobs in this instance because maybe they were following the instructions given to them by political heads or political figures. So what I would want to advise the civil servants now and those in quasi-government institutions is that they should strictly adhere to the provisions of the terms and conditions of service.
You're watching Camnet News. We take our first set of commercials. When we return, we have more interesting stories. Stay with us.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company. but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Are you a talented and gifted soccer player? Camnet Stars will be conducting trials for young players between the age of 14 and 16 years. You never know, you could be America or Europe bound this July.
We need to pick some players so that we can come up with a very powerful squad which is supposed to travel outside the country and do a lot of work for Zambian football.
Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School Playgrounds. Time, 14 hours. You could be the next big soccer star in Europe. See you this Sunday, 20th February 2022.
Welcome back. You're still watching Camnet News. The Lusaka City Council has urged citizens with long-standing incomplete buildings to either complete the buildings or sell them, as they are acting as hiding places for criminals. Speaking when inspecting some of these incomplete buildings in Lusaka's Kamwala South area, LCC Building Inspector Brighton Kamitondo says the council will follow up the owners of the said buildings and determine the next course of action. Meanwhile, residents of Kamwala South say they are usually attacked by criminals when coming from work at night, as they have developed a habit of hiding in these incomplete buildings. Zipporah Mushala filed this report.
Community security has remained a matter of concern in many parts of Zambia, especially for those living in densely populated areas. According to 2021 third quarter statistics from the Zambia Police, the country recorded 14,569 cases of crime, with Lusaka province recording the highest at 26.08% and Muchinga province recording the least at 3.04%. The high number of incomplete buildings that have been standing for many years without any activity have been termed as one of the hiding places for criminals and have since been seen as a threat to community security. It is also alleged that community gangs known as junkies often take drugs in these places, complaints that have been coming from communities like Mutendere and Chivolia compounds.
So please, last week, girls 05. Especially time in rain season, kaile kunkhala mashawas bantu tumachedwa uka manyumba. So 05 is sinamveli. Kasi mkashana bamurepinga.
Isha emergency tufuna kwa security tu. Last week wakati raping guys, okay? Banamushi raping abuna bidi muza.
The Lusaka City Council LCC has responded to these concerns and has begun conducting inspections around Lusaka to determine the number of buildings and also in an effort to locate their owners. Speaking when inspecting some long-standing incomplete buildings in Lusaka's Kamwala South, LCC Building Inspector Mr. Brighton Kamitondo says should no one come forward to claim the buildings within a reasonable time frame, the council will resort to demolishing them.
And the first action that we'll take as a department is to summon these clients, the developers, and maybe we'll ask for 3 documents: ownership, planning permission, and also occupation certificate, so that more actions will begin from there. Yeah, normally on the abandoned structure like this one, if at all we can't find the owner, then we'll do a repossession. Yes, but for those which has owners, we'll engage them to find out why they can't develop the structures so that they're habitable.
Residents of the same area say moving at night is a risk, as they are often pounced on by criminals who hide in these buildings.
Pale mabuilding amene muona manga kuno too much vantu amene wafana violence pemera chamba pamene apa so ibina ndineleba nikabolo siku niopa songa ibana mbera moshi mama bwerera pakapena mukachiteko something. You know what I mean?
Tumfuna ya paniwe o
mabuilding nokupempa cha baby ne manga manembers amene mangala kuja kuona landlord ngati bangakwanisa kusizisa amene chi building olongati so nikuchipwanya.
Meanwhile, Kamala Ward 5 Councillor Mr. Mainda Simata says the buildings have also become a dumping place for garbage, hence posing as a health risk.
And it's infested with gangs. So that is in the afternoon at night, they hide in here, bouncing on people using this route and that route. So it's very much a security concern. Then apart from that, it is also used as a dumping site. So inside there, we're going to find lots of garbage. And we have this campaign where we're saying keep Lusaka clean and healthy. Yet we have such places. It's very difficult. People don't even want to subscribe for waste management because there are abandoned buildings like this which can be used for illegal dumping. So these are some of the abandoned structures that we have to look at and take action on them.
The council has called for sanity, urging all property owners to complete construction or sell the long-standing incomplete buildings. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambian Road Safety Trust has called for first aid training to be made compulsory among bus drivers to enhance response for accident victims on the road. In an interview, Trust Chairman Daniel Mwava says this path is necessary looking at how many fatalities are recorded on the road which can be avoided. Recently, a video footage was shared with Camnet News of a road traffic accident recorded along Great North Road near Kawe District, where injured victims were laying on the ground and attended to as the driver and other passengers had no knowledge of first aid response.
As one way of striving to achieve 50% reduction of road traffic accidents by 2030, various measures such as the introduction of fast-track courts, heightening vehicle inspections, and sensitizations have been carried out by stakeholders in the transport sector. The country, however, still recorded an increase in road traffic accidents in 2021, having recorded 32,372 compared to 28,484 in 2020, which also led to a loss of many lives. While the country has been focusing on preventing road traffic accidents, the Zambian Road Safety Trust feels that post-accident response in Zambia has been neglected. In an interview, Trust Chairman Mr. Daniel Mwamba says the response rate to accident victims still leaves much to be desired, as victims often lie unattended to for hours and often do not get first aid response due to the lack of knowledge among most bus drivers and conductors. Video footage shared with Camnet News of a recent accident along Great North Road shows accident victims lying unattended to, as no one on board, including the bus driver and conductor, had first aid knowledge.
We are completely lacking a coordinated, proper, efficient system to address those issues. Now what we have found is a lot of photos on social media where we've got posts of people in extreme pain and suffering without any help. And these are normal people, parents, children, and so on. You can mention all that. You know, and they're just people like ourselves. I'm lucky to be here. I'll have not in an accident, but the next day I'll be a victim and so on and so forth. And who's going to support me? So this is a concern for every citizen, but also most importantly, the concern for government to address this gap. If we cannot have the emergency services like ambulances to respond effectively and timely to help the victims of accidents, we can have one other thing.
Mr. Mwamba has therefore called for first aid training to be made part of the requirements before one can obtain a driver's license, as one way of enhancing response for accident victims.
What we are advocating for is to have mandatory first aid training and qualifications for any driver who gets a driver's license. Yeah? And especially drivers of public service vehicles like minibuses and big buses and so on. They should have that at the minimum, because the big picture we can't address, you know, the ambulance service system that can work properly in this country. So we are advocating for that, and we are appealing to government to immediately even if it means an SI by the Ministry of Transport and Communication, institute in the SI that every public vehicle operators, the driver and the conductor, they should have the qualifications for first aid.
He has also called for accident response services to be improved at national level in order to prevent the loss of lives that could have been saved. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government has refuted claims that there is no readily available market for cashew production in Western Province, where more than 7 million cashew plants have been planted. In an interview with Camnet News, Minister in charge of Agriculture, Reuben Piri, says the production of cashew nuts in the province are meant for exportation. The minister adds that all what needs to be done is to reactivate the cashew project in the province.
February 2nd, 2022, a cashew farmer in Sioma district of Western Province, Josephine Mwimana, disclosed that cashew nut buyers were taking advantage of them being in remote areas by buying their crops at lesser amounts because of poor markets. Ms. Mwimana explained that cashew nut farmers are forced to sell their crops at 5 kwacha per kilogram instead of the recommended 10 kwacha because of not having available markets. 6th February 2022, Camnet TV followed up the story with KIR Zambia Executive Director Dr. Frank Kayola, who suggested that government must increase the market supply for cashew nut production in Western Province.
It is the market. Whenever we plan projects and end at production, that is a failed project. We have so many projects where in Zambia we have planned for projects to produce cotton, to produce groundnuts, to produce jatropha without a market. Without a market, it's a failed project. It's unfortunate that our farmers in Western Province are complaining, but what we can do for now, we need a solution where...
With the above background, government has refuted claims that there is no steady market for cashew production in Western Province, where more than 7 million cashew plants have been planted.
So the cashew nut program is going on, is very strong. You know, cashew nut take about 3 years or so to produce, and right now I think the first crop will be 3 years in the next year. And we just had a group in the office coming in from Western Province, and they are very, very happy. We intend to multiply. There were 1.2 million trees, I think, transported into the Eastern Province, and this will go on because they have to look at areas where cashew nut can grow well. So it's not a failed, dead program. It's being reactivated, it's very active, and we are looking forward to having very good cashew produced in Zambia.
January 22, 2020, government invested 55.4 million in Western Province precisely to promote cashew nut production through the Cashew Nut Infrastructure Development Project. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
We go back to our earlier story where the Bank of Zambia Monetary Policy Committee has maintained the policy rate at 9% in the first quarter of 2022. Bank of Zambia Governor Deni Kalyalia says the decision has been necessitated by the sharp deceleration in inflation and its projected continued downward trend towards 6 and 8% target.
The MPC decided to maintain the monetary policy rate at 9%. In arriving at this decision, the committee took into account the sharp decline in inflation since the November 2021 MPC meeting and the forecast that shows a continued deceleration in inflation towards the 6 to 8% target range. However, there are upside risks which I have highlighted that could raise inflation above what we projected. So the issue is that now that we are aware of those risks is really to take mitigation measures that they don't materialize, at least those which are within our control. The committee also noted and welcomed the government's medium-term budget plan, which is the white paper. We hope you have seen it. the importance of successful implementation of this plan to the achievement of macroeconomic stability, including low inflation and stable financial system, can hardly be overemphasized.
The Zambia Police Service has recorded a decrease by 5,830 cases in the number of gender-based violence translating to a 22.1% decrease. Statistics from Zambia show that a total of 20,540 cases of gender-based violence were reported countrywide in 2021, compared with 26,370 GBV cases recorded in 2020. Out of the 20,540 reports, 17,568 were criminal cases, while 2,972 were non-criminal reports, translating to 85.5% and 14.5% respectively. A total of 107 murder cases were recorded during the period under review. Copperbelt Province recorded the highest GBV criminal cases with 3,715 cases. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga confirmed this development to Camnet TV.
4,115 were girls, which represent 77.6%, whilst 1,106 were boys, representing 22.4%. 12,186 women and 3,053 men were abused countrywide, representing 59.3% and 14.9% respectively. In terms of gender vulnerability, a total of 16,301 females, which represent 79.4%, and 4,239 males, representing 20.6%, were abused during the period under review countrywide.
You're still watching Camnet News. We take our second set of commercials. When we return, we have international and sports news.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Are you a talented and gifted soccer player? Camnet Stars will be conducting trials for young players between the age of 14 and 16 years. You never know. You could be America or Europe bound this July.
We need to pick some players so that we can come up with a very powerful squad which is supposed to travel outside the country and do a lot of work for Zambian football.
Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School playgrounds. Time, 14 hours. You could be the next big soccer star in Europe. See you this Sunday, 20th February 2022.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. The South African court has dismissed former President Jacob Zuma's attempt to remove the prosecutor from the upcoming corruption trial. Zuma's lawyer sought to appeal an earlier ruling that rejected his effort to have the prosecutor taken off his corruption case. The application was dismissed Wednesday by Pietermaritzburg High Court Judge Pete Cohen on the grounds that Zuma's attempt to remove the prosecutor lacks reasonable prospects of success. Zuma, South Africa's president from 2009 to 2018, before he was ousted by his African National Congress party, amid wide-ranging allegations of corruption, had urged that lead prosecutor Billy DOER is biased against him. Here is a roundup of international news.
Finding a school open is now a lottery in Zimbabwe. After a strike by teachers entered the new week, the Education Ministry suspended the strikers on Thursday. With approximately 90% of teachers in public schools suspended, some were abandoned altogether by pupils and teachers, when in other parts of the country, happy few could go on with their curriculum. Since schools opened for the first term of the new year, many teachers did not report for work. They said they could no longer afford the commute from their home to the classroom. Teachers in the southern African country earn on average $100 a month. If talks were held during which Zimbabwean authorities made offers, they did not meet all of the strikers' demands. Since their suspension, teachers accused the government of forcing them to return to work, and many unions vowed to fight the suspension in court.
A South African court has dismissed former President Jacob Zuma's attempt to remove the prosecutor from his upcoming corruption trial. Zuma's lawyer sought to appeal an earlier ruling that rejected his efforts to have the prosecutor taken off his corruption case. The application was dismissed Wednesday by Pietermaritzburg High Court Judge Pieter Cohen on the grounds that Zuma's attempts to remove the prosecutor lacked reasonable prospects of success. Zuma had argued that lead prosecutor Billy DOER is biased against him. His lawyers accused DOER of leading confidential information about his case with the media and being a witness in a separate case against him by the opposition party, the Democratic Alliance. The efforts to have DOER removed have delayed the start of Zuma's corruption trial, which is now scheduled to begin on April 11. Zuma is accused of receiving bribes from French arms manufacturer TAS through his former financial advisor Shabir Shaikh, who was convicted and sentenced on related charges in 2005. DOER led the prosecution that resulted in Shaikh's conviction.
Any other weekday, Paola Amoroso would be on shift making sure patrons don't damage priceless works of art at a museum in Rome. Instead, she's at a protest against Italy's latest COVID-19 restriction. To go to work, it's now required for all Italians over the age of 50 to get their COVID-19 vaccine, something 61-year-old Amoroso refuses to do.
They're stealing my job, part of my life. It's disoriented me. The bills haven't started arriving yet, but when they do, what then?
Italy's latest COVID-19 restriction took effect on Tuesday, meaning around 500,000 unvaccinated workers over 50 are barred from going to work or receiving sick pay. For months, Italy has increased restrictions on the unvaccinated. First, they were barred from restaurants and other venues. Now, their very livelihoods and income are at risk for refusing the jab.
I'm not anti-vax, but I support the freedom to choose. Everyone should be able to decide for themselves whether to take the vaccine or not. If someone decides not to, they shouldn't go hungry, taking their job away.
Although Italy has a nearly 90% vaccination rate, the government says it's necessary to encourage as many people in higher risk age groups to get the jab. Those opposed to the measure say this latest restriction is an abuse of state power, that it takes away a fundamental right from the individual, the choice of what to put in their body.
È semplicemente un ricatto.
It's simply a threat. It's the same thing the mafia does. The mafia tells you if you don't obey, I'm going to make your life impossible. And the government says if you don't give me access to your body, we'll make your life impossible.
Medical experts like Dr. Patrizia Laurenti disagree.
Lo Stato ti sta dando uno strumento di sicurezza.
The government has given us a tool for protection. In a pandemic, this is necessary. This isn't a normal time. These haven't been normal times for the past 2 years. This tough choice is necessary.
A tough choice to get their shots that hundreds of thousands of workers are still unwilling to make, no matter the high cost. Adam Rainey, Al Jazeera, Rome.
We go straight into sports news. Zambia and Namibia Wednesday clashed heads on in the 2022 Africa Cup qualifier at Nkoloma Stadium in Lusaka. SHEPOLOPOLO hosted Namibia in the first leg match of the African Women's Cup final qualifying round, with the aim of utilizing home advantage. After playing full time, both teams had not scored a single goal. SHEPOLOPOLO warmed up for Namibia with a 3-0 win over South Africa in a friendly match last Saturday. This year's African Women's Championship will run from 2nd to 23rd July 2022. And the competition doubles as African qualifiers to the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup to be held in Australia and New Zealand. With that news item ends our news this evening. The headlines once again. Green Party questions government's ability to run the mining sector as authorities claim victory over the Black Mountain. Save the Children recommends that government enacts the Child Code Bill. Bank of Zambia consecutively maintains the monetary policy rate at 9%. In international news, the Zimbabwean government suspends majority of its teachers for 3 months. And in sports, SHEPOLOPOLO fails to beat Namibia in an AWCON qualifier. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from James 1 verse 22 to 24, and it reads, "But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves, because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man looking at his own face in a mirror. For he looks at himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of man he is." Well, thank you so much for choosing Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Good night.